Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat. Pick up a loom or hook and make a hat. If a hat is not what they will need, then something else will do. 'Cause a homemade gift that comes from you says, I love you and God bless you. Hello and welcome back to Living Creative with Pixie Princess as we continue our series Making September a Christmas to Remember. And today's video I'm going to show you how to make this fringe scarf on the knitting loom. So stay tuned. Okay, to make this garter stitch scarf on the loom, you're going to need to select your loom. It just needs to be a wide gauge because we're using a bulky weight yarn. You can use a round loom. It doesn't matter. We are knitting a flat panel. You just need 16 pegs. So if I'm using this round loom, I marked my 16 peg so I wouldn't knit past that. The two ends are always going to be turning pegs. If you want to use your long loom, you can do that. You're not going to be, knitting on both sides. So you just need one side. You can do that. Just make sure you use 16 pegs. Or you can use one of my favorite new things here. And these are the flexi looms. These are a lot of fun. They snap together like so. And you can make these as long or as short as you want. So this is what I'm going to be using today. It's 8 links, a total of 16 pegs. They are a wide gauge. And by gauge, I mean the space between the pegs. But it doesn't matter. You can use a round loom, a long loom, as long as you have a total of 16 pegs. I'm using the Loops and Threads Charisma, which is one of my favorite yarns to use on the loom. The color I am using is Lakeside, and this is my favorite color in this yarn here. I love it. It is a bulky size 5. So I bought 3 skeins of this. You will, of course, need your tool to knit with. You will need a pair of scissors and a darning needle to tie in the ends. So let's get started here. I'm going to pull some yarn out of the center here. Get to the front, and we're going to make a slip knot. However you are comfortable with that, just the way I do it is I just wrap it around 2 fingers. Hold on. Cross it like that, and I grab the yarn between my fingers and pull it. But however you can do this. I do not have an anchor peg, so I'm just going to start on the first peg. So just tighten that up. And so we've got that first one on, so we're just going to wrap every peg. And this is basically, if you watched my loom knitted headband, twisted headband, it's the same pattern, knit pattern. We're going to go longer, so it will be a scarf, but it is the same pattern. Okay, now we're down at the end. We're going to wrap that one. Okay, now we're going to go back, go in front of this one, and then on this one, we're just going to go behind. And we're going to do the E-wrap till we get to the end. I hope you can see this loom in the camera view. Hopefully you can see it and see what I'm doing here. So you're just going to E-wrap until you get to this last peg right here. Hold your yarn steady and knit the slip knot over that first peg and kind of tighten that up. So now we're just going to knit all of these pegs. And by knitting, you take the bottom loop over the top bottom over the top. Now we're going to do a purl on the next row. The two end pegs are turning pegs. It gives it that nice clean edge. So that will always be a knit. But use the loom that is easiest for you to hold. Get that over here. Okay, so we've knitted our first row. So now it's time to purl. Make sure you have enough yarn coming out of your skein that it's not going to be tight, but not so much that it gets in your way. So now to purl. We're not going to do anything to that one. We're starting here. If you're purling, you take your hook, you go into the top of the loop that's on the peg, and then you scoop up a loop from your working yarn, like so. Take the existing loop off and put it back on the peg. And we're going to do this all the way down. And I'm going to show you again the hack that I did, which I think it makes it faster. You can do it either way. But you are knitting a row and purling a row. So if you're counting your rows, the knit, then the purl are two different rows. So I'm working on my second row. Okay, I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I would suggest you use the loom that is easiest for you to hold. And if you're using a loom with an anchor peg and you used your anchor peg, make sure to take it off of the anchor peg after a couple of rows of knitting so it doesn't weigh down your project. I started on the beginning peg, so I don't need to do that. Going down, we're only going to purl two more, because remember, the last one gets a knit. Oh, three more, I'm sorry. Now it's two more. And we purl. And we purl that last one that we're going to purl. Okay, so now I've done two rows because I did a row of knit and then I did a row of purl. So now it's time to wrap our pegs again. So we go behind this peg at the end and go around, and then we go back and do the E-wrap on all of them. We'll get into some more stitches, knit stitches where you wrap it differently. Okay, now hold that last one and knit off. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the quick hack that I do, which I timed it when I was doing, I timed doing it the way I just showed you, and I timed the way that I'm about to show you, and I saved about 1.5 minutes doing both rows. Okay, so we've got to knit this one off. So take the bottom loop, knit it over. And remember, if you used an anchor peg, go ahead and remove that off the anchor peg. Now we're just going to go ahead and knit, purl it. So you knit, and then go right ahead and purl it. You do whichever is easiest and less confusing for you. I may, do both in the same project periodically. It's just, what I want to do, So I'm knitting and then I'm immediately purling. Knit and purl. And I also want to show you, I've seen different loomers and I do both ways. I take the hook pointing this way and I go under and over. Now let's do our purl. But then I've seen other knitters, and I do this too, go on the top and pull it up over. Like I said, it's a matter of preference to you. And it doesn't matter which direction you go in. I am left-handed. I loom knit left-handed, so to me it's just more natural to go left to right. But you can go right to left. It doesn't matter. As long as you are following the pattern, you will get the same results. Be very careful when you're taking that loop off not to accidentally lose it. So knit and then immediately purl. Knit and then immediately purl. Okay. Knit, then purl. Make sure the yarn goes this direction after you purl. Knit, purl. Purl, and then the last knit, and then the last purl. And then this last one, we're just going to knit. We're not going to purl. Remember, the two end ones only get knits. So now, I just completed 2 more rows. So I've completed 4 rows because I did a knit, then a purl, and then I knit another knit and purl. So I've done 4 rows. You're just going to keep doing this until you get the length of the scarf that you want. Now, if you want a thinner scarf, you can use a few less pegs. My scarf is going to be probably about my second peg to the next to the last peg wide. If you want a thinner scarf, try 14 pegs or 12 pegs, but it's up to you. So I'm going to let you have it. Grab your favorite beverage, listen to some music, watch a movie, whatever you want to do. Just keep knitting, purling until you get to the length of the scarf that you want. But we do want to end our very last row needs to be a knit. So just remember that. If you need to rewind and watch again how we're doing this, please feel free. But come back when you are ready to bind this off, and we will bind this off together, and we'll show you a beautiful scarf. Okay, I've been knitting along, knitting and purling, and it's almost time to start a new skein of yarn, and I want to show you how to do that. So I'm going to finish knitting and purling this row. This is my last purl, and then knit that last one here. So now what I'm going to do, this is the yarn I've been working with. I'm going to cut it off about right here. And don't worry, if you have any yarn left on that skein, we're going to make tassels with it. So now I'm starting a new skein, and it's actually starting a different color. I'm going to start by making a slip knot, but I'm going to make sure I have a good enough tail here. Can't remember how to do a slip knot. Okay. Alright, so I'm making my slip knot. Now, I'm going to put it on this peg here, just temporarily. Now, I'm going to take the tail off of my new yarn, the tail off of my old yarn, and I'm going to tie a knot. A nice, secure knot. And I'm going to do it at least twice, maybe 3 times. And one more time. And this will kind of be hidden in your project as you knit some more. So now I'm going to take this loop off, pull out that yarn there. Now get the tails out of the way for now. Now I'm just going to go back, continue, pull some more yarn out of my working yarn, my new skein, and then go back and wrap, just like I've been knitting and purling all along. Just like so. Knit that first one. And now we're ready to continue knitting and purling. And so on. Just keep going. And if you need to add another skein of yarn, do the same thing. You can rewind and watch it if you need more guidance on that. And then at the end, we're going to weave those tails in, and no one will know they're there. So just keep knitting till you get to the length of scarf that you want. Depending, it may be 2 skeins, 3 skeins, however, but just keep knitting until you get to that length, and I will meet you back. Okay, I've been knitting and knitting and knitting, and I'm about ready to close this scarf up. So this is the color I wanted to end on, so I'm almost out of this color on my second skein. If you wanted a really long scarf for a tall woman or for a man, you would probably need to go into your third skein, but this scarf is perfect for me. I'm kind of short, and it only took a little bit. Not quite 2 skeins, but you have to have enough to make tassels if you want that. So I've already been knitting with this color, and I've already wrapped it. So we got to do the knits and the purls, and then we will bind off. So I'm just going to do this last part on camera with you. So if you chose to do it this way, knitting, then purling, or if you knitted and then came back and purled, it doesn't matter. It's the same. So, funny thing is, when to achieve this garter stitch on needles, you don't purl. You just knit and then you swap and knit. Just keep knitting the knit stitch. But the loom is just a little bit different. You have to knit a row and then purl a row to get the same effect. So where you're just knitting and not purling on the loom, that would require purling on the needles. I just thought that was a little tidbit to share with you. So, and you know, we are in the midst of making things that are suitable for gifts, be it Christmas or birthdays or just thinking about you kind of gifts. You know, whatever, you know, and I've mentioned in previous videos, when I know the person that I'm making the gift for, you know, I pray for them along the way by name. If I don't know the person that this is going to end up with, I will just say a little prayer for the person that's going to receive it. So, just praying that that person will be blessed and that it will meet a need in their life. Okay, we are almost done here, and then I will show you how to bind this off. I'm going to attempt to do the stretchy bind off. I think it keeps the ends from not gathering so much. Okay, so another knit and a purl. another knit, and a purl, another knit, and my last purl. Sometimes you have to use your fingers to assist you. And then I'm just going to knit off that turning peg right here. Okay, so you want enough yarn to bind this off. So, if you have a loom, just a round one, you can do it that way. But I'm just going to wrap about 2 times to make sure I have plenty of yarn to accomplish this. And just cut it off of the working yarn. All right. So I think I should have ended with a knit. But let's just go with it. All right, so let's see. You're going to knit this one. I'm just going to do the regular bind off. Knit this one because I meant to end with a row of knits, and I've already cut my yarn. So my mistake, so hopefully it will turn out the way I want it to. So when you knit these two, take this one off, put it on peg 1, tighten it off, and then you're going to knit that one. And now you move the loop that's on peg 1 over. Okay, so now you're going to knit the next peg. And then after you knit, take the loop off and move it to what is now peg 1. You're going to knit peg 1, and then you're going to move the loop over. And this is now going to be peg 1. And then you're going to knit the next one. And then you take that loop and move it over. And knit that one. And you're just going to repeat this all the way down until you get to the very end. And then we'll be done with the scarf. Now you can knit this as long as you want. I'm about 5'2", so I don't need an extremely long scarf. I would be tripping over it if it was too long. So this is perfect. A 2 skein of the Charisma yarn is perfect for me, and when you add the tassels to it, it makes it even longer. So I think I'm going to make a hat to match this pattern. The good thing about the garter stitch, especially for a scarf, it looks the same on both sides. So you don't have to worry about, it looking different. If you tie it around your neck or wrap it around a couple of times, it's going to look the same. So that's the good thing about the garter stitch. And I think it's a beautiful stitch. I really love it. And if you're learning the knit on your needles, this is probably the stitch you're going to learn first because you don't have to purl any. I made a headband on the needles. The stitches look exactly like this. I was very proud of myself because I struggle knitting with the knitting needles. I still love looming, but I did find it very gratifying knitting on needles. And to me, I just like manipulating yarn. I love to crochet. I love to knit on the loom, and I'm trying to learn to knit on the needles as well. Make sure you're gathering all the strands there. So it's just amazing to me that you can take a piece of string and make something and make beautiful things. That's just amazing to me. and I enjoy doing that. I love different colors of yarn. I love different textures. I love the way the yarn feels in my fingers. And this is just a very relaxing craft for me. So I just want, if you feel the same, I want to help you make beautiful things out of strings of yarn. Okay, we are almost there. Can't decide if I want to make a hat or another twisted headband with the third skeiny yarn that I have, since I'm not going to be using it in my scarf. But I might do another different pattern of a hat. I showed you the headband with a medium weight yarn. This is the chunky yarn. So I could do one with the chunky yarn like I did that one, or I can do a different pattern hat than the last loom knitted one that I did. I'm also going to do a crocheted hat. So I just did the crocheted scarf for you. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll link that one down here. Okay, we are down to the last peg. Oops, I forgot to knit that one. Okay, so we're going to put this one over here. Get that off. Okay, so now I'm going to leave a kind of a tail here. Snip it off. And then just pull that through and tighten it up. Oh goodness. See where I missed a peg? Okay, let's figure out how to fix this together. I'm going to leave it on. I'm glad I have a little bit of a tail. See, I got to talking and I messed up. Okay, so what I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to pull the yarn through on my hook here. You know, maybe it's good that I showed you a mistake. And then let's see how we're going to fix this. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to carefully take that loop off. Okay, you put the tassels on here, it's going to be fine. So now I'm going to take this yarn, pull it back through to the end. When you're knitting and crocheting, do you make mistakes like that sometimes and have to figure out how to fix them? Yeah, we're human. Alright, so now I'm going to incorporate this tail when making my tassels. So stay tuned and see the video on how to make tassels. Okay, I'm putting tassels on my scarf, and I want to show you how to do that real quick. I'm still knitting, but I just wanted to show you how to make tassels. And I incorporated the tail where I began my work into this first set of tassels. So you're going to need something that you can wrap your yarn around. A cell phone is a real good thing to use. Most everybody has one. If you have a CD case, or a Blu-ray case, something of that nature, or anything that you can, wrap your yarn around will work great. I know you may be scared of damaging your cell phone. Be very careful if you do use your cell phone. But what you're going to do is hold your yarn right here, and then you're just going to wrap it about 8 times. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then don't touch your phone, but trim it as close as you can to where you left off. Now carefully hold your strands and pull them off of your phone or your CD case, whatever you are using. Try to get these 2 strands down at the same end, and then you're just going to cut right here. So now you have your strands. Now I recommend using a crochet hook. If you don't have one, you can use your loom tool. Crochet hook works better. So just kind of space these out. I put it on the end of here, and I did incorporate my beginning tail, and you can do that as well. So I'm going to kind of skip one and put one right here. I'm going to show you how to use your tool if you don't have a crochet hook, but if you have one, it is so much easier. Okay, so you're just going to kind of get where the middle of your strands are that aren't cut and pull them through. See, a crochet hook is so much easier. I've got it on my hook. Let me try to, and then I'm just going to use my finger here. Okay. Just try to get all your loops together. Okay, now pull it up where you can put your finger and your thumb. Grab all of the loose strands here, pull it through that loop, and then tighten as tight as you can get it. Now you're going to trim it, and I'm trimming as I go. They're not going to be all perfect, and that's okay. This is a homemade gift. So take your scissors, just lay this flat, and you can trim it all up again a little bit if you want it a little more even. Now I'm going to do that one more time and show you how to use the crochet hook and show you that it is a lot easier with the crochet hook. All right. You gather some more yarn here. All right, so hold your yarn down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Cut the end off. Carefully slide it off your phone. You're going to cut in the middle right here. Can y'all see that? Now I'm going to show you how to do it with a crochet hook. So much easier. Alright, now I'm going to do one on the end here. So insert the hook. Put the loops on the hook. They stay on a lot better on the hook than they do on the loom knitting tool. You can use your fingers if you need to. Pull it up. Okay, so you got these loops here. Remove your hook. Put your finger and your thumb through the loop. Get your strands. Pull them through that loop and tighten as tight as you can. And I would recommend, you can machine wash this on delicate. I would recommend putting it in a mesh bag, so none of these strings will go off in somebody's washing machine. And then now Give it a trim. And you throw those little tags away. If you want to even this up a little more, you certainly can. You see all this? It does not have to be perfectly symmetrical in the trim. This is a homemade gift. Of course, you want it to look nice, but we're not going for perfection. We're just going for a nice finished product. I don't want any really super long strands hanging here, so I will go back here. But there you have it. Making tassels is easy. So I'm going to continue my project and we'll bind it off, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so now that you've added your tassels, don't forget, this is where I join the two skeins together. I need to weave these in. So I'm going to attach it to the darning needle. And just kind of weave it in the same color yarn. I probably could have just snipped that off, but I just want to make sure it's going to be secure. And then I'm going to go in another direction. And then one more pass through. Okay, that's nice and secure. I'm going to give that a trim. And now the blue tail needs to kind of go into that color yarn. Sorry about the little mistake I made, but you know, I'm showing you that mistakes happen and not to get frustrated and just do your best to fix them. Okay, so I went in one direction. Now I'm gonna pick another line and go another direction. And then I'm just going to weave it in up here. That should be nice and secure. And trim it. And you can't really tell where we join the yarn. So I hope you enjoyed making this scarf, and I hope you learned some things, and I hope you learned also that it's okay to make mistakes. We will fix them, but I hope that whoever you make a scarf for will enjoy it. And if you make this scarf, I would love to see a picture. So give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that bell icon so you know when I post another video. I'll be making another food video this Sunday, and I'll be doing a follow-up with a hat that'll match this, and then another hat on the crochet hook. So until the next one, God bless.